wanted to talk for a minute about credit profile versus credit score, and I'll explain to you what I mean by that. Most of the all of the loan programs that we do actually, um, there's a minimum credit score requirement, and it is 580. And if you search on the internet, you do your Googles, you'll typically see 580 minimum credit score for blah blah blah, and that is true. But there's also a secondary component to that, which I think that a lot of first-time buyers, in particular, kind of get caught by. And here's what it is. Yes, you can have a 580, but the credit profile actually matters as well. So, what do I mean by that? I mean your credit mix and, of course, your credit history. And what I'm going to tell you is that even though we've seen some rates come down recently and things are trending in a positive direction for the most part, your credit profile, meaning your credit history, still matters. So if you have a ton of recent 30-day lates, that's very hard to get. There's certainly not an automatic underwriting approval for that, right? A lot of lenders will use automated underwriting systems, and so you definitely can't go that route. So then you have to look at manual, and it's very hard to even get a manual approval if you have a ton of 30-day lates. If you are a current homeowner, and you have a 30-day late within the last year, you can pretty much kiss. Again, I'm not saying 100% chance that you won't be able to get a loan, but it is very, very slim. And then if you have a 60-day late, there's some recent guidance that's been released, at least within our company, that, that's an immediate stop to any approval for any loan. So what I'm telling you guys is that, yes, pay attention to your score. And yes, 580 is minimum qualifying score. But for one, everything's better with better credit, right? And the number two, pay attention to the number of late payments that are showing up on your credit report, and also pay attention to recent collection history. The more recent the items are, the greater the effect it's going to have on your score. When I talk to a lot of folks, this happens at least once a day. I'm like, hey, what's your credit score? Like, oh, about 580. And I say, well, what happened to cause it to be a 580? This is how I was trained to do this, by our branch manager. And they'll inevitably say something like, I don't know, or they'll say something like, it's I just haven't had good credit, or nothing's happened recently. And I immediately know that they're not telling me something, because if you have a 560, 570, 580, something happened within the last 6 months that caused that score to drop that low. If it's from a couple of years ago, you might see like low 600s, which is fine. But sub 600 credit score, baby, you got some recent late payments, collections, charge-offs, judgments. Something is there that is causing that. And so, again, just my PSA for today. Pay attention to your credit score, yes, but also pay attention to your credit profile, and do everything you can to avoid having any late